I want to talk to you about two common mistakes we see in risk communication: the fear of fear and panic. You know, when something bad is happening or you anticipate something bad happening, have you ever heard a public official say, "Don't be afraid"? Well, what happens when you hear that statement? Well, our natural, normal instinct is to think, well, if they're telling us not to be afraid, there must be something to be afraid about. So we have the opposite reaction than that which is intended. Furthermore, fear is a perfectly natural reaction to new developments, to dangerous situations, to confusion. Fear is normal and appropriate response. In fact, we couldn't live without our fear response. Without a fear, we'd do some pretty stupid things. So don't fear fear, acknowledge it, accept it, and help people deal with their fear. One of the major goals of risk communication is to acknowledge fear and to help people cope by providing them things to do, appropriate ways to handle their fear. Now, very similar is the panic. Government official stands up and says, "Don't panic." Do you know what panic is? Well, a psychiatrist told me once, panic is when you'd run over your grandmother to escape some danger. Psychiatrists, psychologists tell us that panic is very rare. In fact, that we only see it in situations of drunkenness or drug abuse or some other extreme situation. So if I think of panic and think back to events, where have we seen panic? Well, maybe it's that soccer game in Europe where the drunk fans rush the exits and people get crushed. But panic is very rare. You know, let's think about incidents that in our lifetimes that were that were dreadful occurrences. There was a high danger and there was tremendous public outrage. What about 9/11? When the airplanes hit the Twin Towers, there was fire, there was confusion, there was smoke. Was there panic? No, there was very little panic. Did we see people rushing the stairways and crushing each other in the stairs? No. Amazingly enough, people adjusted to their fear and exited the building in a remarkably normal way, so that the number of people that lost their lives in 9/11 was remarkably small. Let's take another example. How about the anthrax in letters? Do you remember that in the fall of 2001? Was there panic? No. In fact, Johns Hopkins School of Public Health surveyed 3 impacted cities, and what they found is that after these anthrax in letters incidents, most people, in fact 98% of people, still opened their mail in the usual way. Only 1% of the population bought gas masks. 5% of the population bought prescription antibiotics, but 80% of those who bought the antibiotics never took them. In general, people don't panic. Unfortunately, officials who fear fear or panic about panic often lead to are followed by unwise strategies like withholding of information or over-reassurance, because they're concerned they'll foster the fear or stimulate panic. So remember, fear is normal and natural. Acknowledge the fear and help people by giving them something to do constructive with their fear. And don't panic about panic. Panic rarely happens.